This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode contains spoilers from Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Bayron, with brief mention of Crescent City 1 House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. For full list, please see show notes.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the fantasy, literature, and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie.
And I'm Jessica Marie.
And today we are discussing Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Bayron.
And we're excited to talk about this book because I feel like this has been on both of our TBRs for quite some time. We've seen it on socials, and by the day that we're releasing this episode, it happens to be the 5th anniversary of this book's release. So we were like, you know what? This feels like the perfect time for us to prioritize it. And so glad that we did. I didn't know much about this book. I don't know if you did, Laura, aside from the cover. I remember seeing the cover everywhere on socials when it came out. I haven't seen it spoken about in some time. But again, that's the wonderful thing about reading, is that we have so much time and we can add things and change course and just prioritize different books. So I'm glad that we're doing that now.
And for anybody who's interested, just for a little fact, the narrator, because I did this through audio, the narrator is the same narrator that does the Feybound, Cursebound books. And it's the voice of Lettle. So it was this is just a me thing. This is just solely a me thing. It was very difficult for me to separate Lettle from the Cursebound, Feybound series, and Sophia from this series. It was a lot. However, this book is awesome.
Well, and because we did the books back to back.
Yes, that is also a very important part of it. We did the books back to back. But this book is awesome. This book took me completely by surprise. Jessica Marie and I were talking before we started recording. Neither of us really saw the twist at the end. We're just like, oh my God. I mean, there's a few, but the big one, I was just like, oh my God, that was incredible. Great. I was going to say lore, but yeah, it is lore. A lot of world building, standalone. So my notes, I'm looking at my notes. My notes are primarily the world building, just because it is so fast paced. Because the world building is two characters talking, and it's and life is this and this and this and this, and we have to do this, 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 and this, and do this, 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 and this. Oh, and here are some dates. Flah. And you're just wow, all right. And then we're traveling. Really exciting book, and very excited to get into it.
Yeah, and I like that. I know we've talked about this too, is the fact that it was a standalone and it's a fantasy book. I mean, yeah, it's a fantasy book. There's witchcraft. It's fairy. We have a fairy godmother. I mean, this book is based on, I don't want to say a Cinderella retelling, because that's not what it is. It is an extension of the Cinderella story that we know, and it takes place 200 years after Cinderella and Prince Charming have their happily ever after. And we assume that this is taking place in, Versailles and France. So, we have the lore of Cinderella. She got her happily ever after. And now we are in the town and in the kingdom that, what happens when Cinderella has her happily ever after? What happens when she dies? How is her memory still celebrated after this? And what are those stories? And I mean, and again, we know that she has stepsisters in this version. They are Gabrielle and Isla. So we know that she has a relationship with her stepsisters. She was promised to Prince Charming, but her father, we find out in this story, is the original person who oversaw the kingdom, and not Prince Charming's family in the way that we know the traditional story.
Hey, Jess, who names their kid Charming?
Tell me. I mean, and that is a line in the book. That is part of Sophia's dialogue. Sophia is our female main character. And it was one of those things where she's like, who the fuck does that? That seems a little off, but okay. Because where we are in this story is, where are we with the kingdom? So there is a ball all the time, annually, and it's to basically pair off couples. And it's they pair off couples, very straight couples. They're like, every guy gets a girl. Sometimes guys get two girls. Very patriarchal society. Very much a grooming society, because this is how the world is. Like, this is part of how we recognize Cinderella's memory. She wants everybody to have their happy ending. And it comes with the double standard, as we know, of what comes with patriarchal societies. And the thing with Sophia is she's like, we've had to recount the story and tale of Cinderella the way we know in society since we could read. But I always knew at a young age that, Cinderella's always ending up with the prince, and I don't want to end up with the prince. I'd much rather be ending up with the princess. And so there is conflict in the society that she kind of has to... She's open in her truth, but for survival purposes, her parents are like, but you still have to marry a guy. We know that you're in love with your best friend, Erin. We know Erin loves you, but she's also super in denial because she's just trying to be like, I don't know what you're talking about. It was a one-time thing. Like, I'm not like that. And Sophia is not. She's like, I know my truth. Why are you forcing me to do this?
Sophia is loud and proud, and everyone is like, shh, because we have some fucking laws, man. And the laws are brutal. I think it's really important to state that the laws of the land are horrible towards women. All they do is elevate the men. And let's get very specific. So we have to have a pristine copy of Cinderella, the palace version, in every household. You have to go. It is mandatory that you go to the ball, and you have to go 3 times, but it's kind of known socially that if you go to the ball the second and third time, that it's just a humiliation ritual, essentially, at that point. If you're not chosen by a man, then you are forfeit. If the arrangement, if you are in a relationship and it isn't sanctioned by the palace, then you're also forfeit. Your household has to have one male head of household, and everybody has to answer to him. And the women and children are under a curfew, and they are under modesty laws as well. And everybody has to have a copy of all of these laws and a portrait of the king in their house at all times. I mean, that's wild shit. And so kind of what happens in a society where those are the laws is that the men become kind of lecherous and predatory and don't see women as anything other than possessions. You can have, in this world, men have more than one wife, or they kill their first wife and have a go to the ball and get a second wife. It is just kind of known. Everybody laughs about it, and nobody stands up to the king, and no one has ever stood up to the king. And there's a little bit of lore behind that as well, which is also very interesting. And that is very simply that there was a famine. Prince Charming wrote in and said, haha, make me king and I'll fix it. Make me king and I'll fix it. And the townspeople said, nah. And it got worse. And then Prince Charming came back and said, what about now, bitches? And they said, sure. And then magically, we don't have a famine. Magically, the crops are growing. And so now, to kind of keep that tradition and everything that happened with Cinderella, that's why we don't question the palace, blah, 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 blah. And the king is a lot like a little boy, even though he's really old, spoiler, because he throws a lot of tantrums and is just the worst. He's just the worst. Ugh.
Quite literally man-child.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like a lot of politicians, actually.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that was also the craziest thing about this book is like this book was released, I should say, 5 years ago. And 5 years ago, we were dealing with a lot of the same politicians that we are now in 2025. So I feel like this isn't like, you know, we talk about reading being inherently political. And I feel like even more recently in our Seven Little Kisses episode, how we can talk about having political discourse and conversation in a fantasy element because it becomes more palatable. And sometimes you need to have that fantasy element because that's when people will actually understand what's going on. And that's what this feels like, because even though we're in a fantasy setting, these are all, especially like when you think of what Sophia is going through, the society that she's going through, that's still very much alive and well.
Oh, absolutely. So what's happening? The ball's in 2 days. We have dates. We'll get to them. The ball's in 2 days. Sophia is like, Aaron, run away with me. And Aaron is like, no, bitch, no. And Sophia is like persistent about this, like over and over and over again, run away with me. And to be fair, Aaron is like, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? And Sophia's like, I don't know. We'll make it up. What is that song? Like, love, sometimes love is not enough. Like, we need some money. Like, come on. I mean, but they're 16. So it is so important that we try to put ourselves in the 16-year-old mindset, right? Stubborn. This is what I want. You cannot deter me. I am set on my path. I'm also, my frontal lobe is not developed. I am ready for danger. I'm taking all of the risks. I am ready to speak my truth because I am not, and this is what to what you were saying, Jess, like she's 16. She's not really like thinking about the consequences of like what could happen to like her family or like her community and her parents while they are falling in line with the palace and while they are telling her to like, yeah, like we know that you're in love with Aaron, but like tap that shit down right now and go marry a man because you need to be safe because otherwise you're going to die. I think that's important to acknowledge from the parents as well, because the parents aren't saying it's wrong. They're saying it's not safe. And Sophia is not in a safety mindset. She's a child. She's like, no, it's not what I want though. So I don't care that it's not safe. I mean, we've all been there. This is rebellion. So I understand in my big age, both sides of this.
I know.
And that is tough.
Yeah. And I feel like also it goes with the, like, just a general conversation that's had of like, be out, be loud, be proud for who you are. But that's always easier said than done when you're not in a safe environment, when you're not in a safe household. So it's like, live your truth around people you can be yourself around. But if that's not, it's tough. It's tough. And sometimes it is what it is until you create change. But we're not at that point yet in this story about creating change. What we do know is that Aaron has a brother, Luke, and Luke is like, hey, I know you've been seeing my sister, and Sophia's very much like, what do you know? You know nothing about me. And he goes, I know a little bit. I kind of am kind of where you are. Like, I really would rather end up with the prince than the princess in our society's Bible. The story of Cinderella is essentially like their religious belief with moving forward. And so this is the part where I was like, oh, this is going to work out great. He's going to show up at the ball. They're going to have a lavender marriage, because then they are in that safe space of how to move forward and still operate in the context of what society is allowing them. But that doesn't go well, because we're at the ball And people start to speak out. You have everybody, you know, again, we are in a society where men treat women like property. And there's another man, Edward, who is quote unquote ranked higher than Luke. And he goes to claim Sophia, and she's like, you know nothing about me. You just want me because I was already promised to Luke. Get the fuck out of here. And Luke decks him. And the thing is, again, this is very regimented. They take Luke away. He's forfeited to the government. And they, you know, you'll hear us just say that in this episode where they're like, oh, somebody was forfeited. It's basically the families relinquishing their children or somebody, you know, a loved one or somebody to the government, which later plays into the bigger plot that we find out in the book.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And so after this fight, okay. You know when you're reading a YA book and the character makes a very YA decision and you're just like, why? This was me when Sophia like knees this kid in the balls and then just like runs away. No plan, full dress, full glam, heels, just runs away and just like keeps running until like she gives out, like, and we'll get to where she goes. But you're just like, wow, what are we doing? What are we doing? Because there's background here, right? Because in their city, this capital where everybody lives, there are missing girls for years and years and years and years. This is like separate from the forfeits. This is something totally different. Girls just go missing sometimes. And sometimes girls show up in town with white hair, really old, wrinkly sometimes, and nobody really knows what is going on. That's happened at least once in this, but before we get to the ball where Sophia's like, oh, that's crazy. And the guards are talking about it. And so it's like, what is that? What are we going on with that? That's weird, right? I also want to point out that just as you said, like this religious undertones that we have here. So Sophia has a friend named Liv, and Liv is also going to this ball. It's going to be her second year, third year. She's going to be forfeit soon. And her parents are all in on the belief on the text, because like the underlying kind of subtext here for these people is that if you believe hard enough and if you're pious enough and if you follow the king's rules, then you will be visited by a fairy godmother who will grant you everything that Cinderella was granted because you deserve it, because you're Cinderella, So there is that like part of it. So Liv's parents, Sophia's friend, are all in on the piety aspect. And Liv is like, yeah, like I've done everything and I'm going to wake up and there's going to be a dress and the fairy godmother is going to visit me. And that does not happen. Obviously, that does not happen. And she goes to the ball in like a flower crown and like a white cotton sheath or whatever. And the king sees her and is like, yo, you insult me with this bullshit outfit? How dare you?
They thought it was the best. And he was like, I understand you did everything the right way. And I believe how devout you are, but you're looking raggedy.
Yeah. And
That's not good enough for me. Yeah. And if I don't discipline you, then I need to set a precedence with everybody else who comes forth. So you're the example, and now you're automatic. Now I'm forfeiting you. I'm not letting your parents do it. I'm making that decision.
Yep. Take her away, and she ends up dead, wrinkly, in a ditch. So that sucks. Okay. But we're okay. So we are running away. Sophia, as we said, Sophia's running away. And so Sophia, she finds, this is why I brought this up. She finds all of those cells, right? All of these women are locked in cells, and she's like, hello. And they're like, hello. And they're telling her to like, run. And Sophia's like, no, I'm going to come back and I'm going to save you. And they're like, bet. Sure you are. Run though. And Sophia runs just in a general direction. And she stumbles upon a mausoleum.
And in that mausoleum, we come to find out it's Cinderella's mausoleum. It's where Cinderella has been kept for the last 200 years. But in that mausoleum, we meet another character who's like, what are you doing here? And we come to find out that that character is Constance, who is a distant relative of Cinderella and of her stepsisters.
And she's very funny. She's very capable. She's a redhead. We love that. Curly redhead. But in this tomb are like notes and like little wishes and stuff. But there is a specific note that says like, meet me. And that'll be important later. But also her glass slippers are in there and they're flickering on and off. And this tomb has been forgotten, completely abandoned. And Sophia remembers her grandmother talking about it, being like, oh, it used to be a thing. People used to like pilgrimage to it, but like it has been wiped from everybody's like modern memory, which makes somebody being there like even more mysterious. Like I like how Gabrielle is like, Cinderella's dead. She doesn't care. Like, come on, just whatever. But I like this. And also we're 16, this instant connection between the two of them. Sophia is in her ball gown. Constance is clocking her and she's like, okay, clearly something is going on here. Take these pants. Cause right, we gotta get practical. We gotta get into pants. Take these pants, take this tunic, chill out here, meet me at this gate at sunrise. And we're going to get a plan. We're going to figure out what's going on. We are going to regroup, because you know what? This is like a fated situation kind of thing. And we love that. We love an instant connection between friends.
Yeah. And then it's interesting because this is where Sophia's like, wait a second, how are you here? How are you in trousers? Who are you? And I think it's the who are you that's really like, okay, you're telling me you can help me get out of here. You're wearing pants. How is this possible? I need to get out of here. And this is kind of where our travel part starts. However, Sophia, again, 16, is still like, okay, I'll meet you in the morning, but I'm going to try again with my parents real quick. Meanwhile, the whole thing is she ran with no direction. She's going to her parents' house. She ran away from the ball. She injured a dude, and Anne kind of insulted the king at the same time. So now the kingdom and like the king and his merry men are out searching for her. So she shows up at the first place they're gonna fucking look. And again, 16, I know, calm down, Jessica. It's her mom is just like relieved that she's not dead. And she's like, oh my God, come in. And her father is like, she's just taking care of the tea because the king is in their living room looking for Sophia. Like, she insulted him in front of a ton of people. This guy has a massive ego. He is a narcissist. So they're just like, dude, you have to kind of stay here. These are kind of your expectations. You couldn't think that there weren't going to be repercussions to your actions after last night. But there are, and she leaves. Like, she runs and tells her parents, like, I got to get out of here. Otherwise, I'm screwed. Because they were also in that moment that they were going to be like, we're going to forfeit you. We can't.
Yeah. They were kicking her out. Like, make no mistake. They were done with her ass. They were like, all right, sorry, but we have our own life to worry about.
Yes. Like, they were more paranoid about like kind of their stature in society and how they were going to be treated there. And by whatever means. And this isn't the first time that you hear about parents who will give their kids away to the kingdom to kind of save themselves.
Yep. It's crazy society that we're in right now. So Sophia runs away after getting essentially kicked out by her dad, meets up with Constance. And
you know what it is? Because she's a direct descendant of Gabrielle.
It's
it's her niece or something. Yeah.
Sixth great niece. So Sophia meets up with Constance, the 6th great niece of Gabrielle, Cinderella's sister, and Constance takes her to Cinderella's like family home to regroup. And this is where we drop the lore of like, Prince Charming, who he was, he came in, how he became king, who Cinderella's parents were. They were like stoking like the rebellious thoughts and rebels. And, when Cinderella's mom died, the dad remarried and the stepmom was like, yo, you got to learn how to fight. We got to take this shit down. And she trained all the girls. And it was then why the question that Constance can't answer is why did Cinderella then willingly go to the palace and like give herself up to the king and like marry the king and like have this life when we have this knowledge of they wanted to kill the king and take him down. Why? What happened? So now the descendants of Cinderella's sisters are rebels and they are trying through various bombings to get the king's attention and to try to bring down his regime, but it is not working. There's not enough of them. They can't get on the inside. It is just, it's not good. It's not good.
And the attempts with killing the king haven't been successful, even with direct contact. And we find more about why later too.
Yep. So Constance and Sophia eventually just decide, you know what? Fuck it. We don't know anything. The only thing that we really know is that the prince is the curse and he must be stopped. That is this information that we have from all of these journals that Constance has. So it's like, all right, well, let's go find the fairy godmother in the fucking haunted woods because bet no one has done that yet that we know of. Our 16-year-old asses have never heard of that. So let's go do that. And they do. They distract the guards, they get a cart, and off they go.
It felt very easy, even finding the fairy godmother. Like, hey, we knew you were kind of this myth based on stories, but you're here. So what next? Because this is where we find out that the fairy godmother, her name is Amina. And it's funny because she has powers, spells more or less, and they try to be like, so you're a witch, and she's like, no, I have spells, I know things, but you could just call me Amina. But immediately Constance is not fucking around with Amina.
No, not at all. And we should also mention that before the girls get on the path of the haunted woods, the king shows up in the middle of the square and fucking executes that seamstress that was being abused in town when Sophia went to go try on her dress in the beginning of the book. He fucking kills her. And he's like, everything that you have, peasants, is because of me and like my benevolence. So fuck off and follow the rules. So that's what's going to happen, right? And also, Erin has been chosen by the other brother, and she is being abused.
Yeah, she was chosen by the person that Sophia said fuck off to. And essentially he was just like, oh, okay. Because here's the thing. Everybody knew that Sophia and Erin were best friends. Not everybody knew how romantically involved they were. But it was honestly just a power trip. And so when Sophia sees Erin before fleeing society again, she sees that she was hit and abused. And Erin's like, but this is great. I was chosen. I was selected and on my first ball.
Yep. That's the society that we're in. Okay. The wolves eat the horse. Hated that. Skipped through that the second time that I read this. Hated that. But we're in Amina, the old woman with black eyes and the portrait of a young boy in her house. What is that?
That will be important.
That's not important. No. I love how Amina is just like, you know what? I'm just going to spill everything. I'm going to spill everything. Here's the thing, the twist later. She is helpful. She's helpful this like whole time, even though she's got her own like shit going on and she is in secret communication. She is helpful because what does she say? After a little bit of back and forth, like Amina just like tells the story. She's like, yo, bet the king is not a normal man. So me, I was a magic practitioner, right? I had a little bit of a reputation and they were going to burn me at the stake. And this man came and saved me, right? And of course, he wanted what all men wanted after, he saved me. He wanted power. He wanted me to make famine in the land. So that's what I did. I took the land and I made famine. And then, Prince Charming stepped in and, people groveled. He fixed it. He became king. I became his advisor. But Eustace, King Stephen, King Manfred, Prince Charming, they're all the same person. Bum, 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 bum.
Well, and all of this comes out after Sophia meets up with Constance, and Constance is like, well, not only here's my family connection, but I'm also kind of the keeper of the true history. Our history, what you are being told by the government is not what is true. So here you have them meeting our fairy godmother, Amina, clocking her to be like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then they call her out like, actually, we do. So tell us the truth. And that was kind of where Amina started sharing, okay, well, here's what actually happened. But I want to be on your journey now. I want to be team Constance and team Sophia because I need to repent for this fuck up that I did. And the only way we can do that is if we all work together.
Yeah, because she drops like mad facts. She's like, I sent Cinderella there to murder him. I did that. I saw what was happening. He fell in love with her. I said, like, yo, let's do this. Let's go to the ball. I'm going to give you this pink quartz dagger. You're going to stab the shit out of him. Something sustains him. I don't know what sustains him. Is he cursed? I don't know, but it's fucking weird. And I chickened out. Because I thought, maybe if Cinderella loved him, he'd become a better man, right? Her love would make him a better man. So I gave Cinderella a love potion and she fell in love with him for a month, but then that shit started to fade and he figured that out and he locked her up until she died. And that is what happened. And they're like, that's not the sanctioned story. And she's like, yeah, no shit. And that's why it is so crazy with the twist at the end. Because she's just like, pa, 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 pa. And it turns out to be true.
And she didn't lie about anything except for who she was. Mm-hmm. So isn't it like a lie, or, a lie by omission is still is still a lie kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. So we have more. We have more though. What do we have? We have, so the Constance has like a book of lore and she starts sharing like all of it, just as you said, with Amina. And, we have the reintroduction of the note, right? The meet us at Cinderella's house, note that Gabriella was there and Cinderella was there, but the guards dragged her away. She had something to tell him. It was very important, right? And then we have a glimpse, Jessica Marie, of the necromancy section of the spell book. Not important.
I knew the necromancy was going to be important, but I didn't know in what way, except for when they do like, and honestly, they don't even realize what necromancy is. And I say they, Constance and Sophia didn't know, like they had their own understanding what necromancy is. And that's when Amina had to be like, no, this is what necromancy is. We have to, it like brings people back from the dead, but hey, FYI, they don't always come back the same. Isn't that
the truth?
Don't we know it? And so then, this is where Sophia is like, well, you know what? All these stories are going around. Why don't we go directly to the source? Let's go and ask Cinderella. And again, nobody has seen, and this mausoleum has not had any upkeep. So they're like, wait, what? You know where that is? Aside from Constance. Constance knew. She's like, yeah, we can just we could ask her, see if it works on Cinderella. She'll tell us what's up, because this isn't the society that she expected the outcome to be. So let's find out. And they do. And what was also crazy is that they knew there was some sort of spell going over with Cinderella, because again, we'll say Cinderella's been dead for 200 years. So when they go to the mausoleum and they go to resurrect Cinderella's almost pristine. They're like, wait, there's no bones? There's no ashes? She's not dusty? Like, what is happening?
Yeah, it's weird. And they're like, take the burial shroud, the whole thing. I do want to point out that before we get to the necromancy section of the book, we have to essentially trip balls and see our future, which is very fun. And then we have to hide in the floor as the king shows up and screams very angrily about, blah, 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 you're not doing enough for me, woman. Out here in the woods, you bitch.
Not knowing, again, like, if you're listening to this episode, you've probably already read the book, but we find out at the end of the book the king's connection with our fairy godmother, Miss Amina. And again, did you okay, so I know you read this twice, at least. Did you pick up on all of the plot twists where Amina was connected on the second read?
Yes.
You were like, oh, it was right fucking there.
Yeah. It's, yeah.
Because I remember I was like, wait, there's certain things even after I processed it. I was like, wait a second. Here. But so I'm sure it was blatant when you reread it.
You're just like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. It's still a very satisfying twist, though, I think, personally.
Yeah.
I also like this little addition of, like, there's lots of witches in the world, and this little, like breadcrumbs out there. Oh, the magic mirror story. That's very old. How did you hear about that? Like, oh, the seeing stone. How do you know about that? Like, just, fun kind of like, boo, and then again, this kind of assertion that it wasn't the brothers Grimm writing down these stories. It was the sisters Grimm. And that little like thing, it was, two sisters came and wrote all these down, a story of a snake, two brothers, all of this. Then we start comparing the differences between the palace sanctioned version of the Cinderella story and the version that Constance has. And we start doing that here. We'll continue to do that later, and we will reveal things that are very interesting about the fuck-ass little king that we have here. But yeah, Jess, you're absolutely right. No decay, but she looks old as fuck. She's got the white hair. She's got the wrinkles. She's an old lady in there. But she was only, 38 when she died?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she shouldn't look like that. So everyone is like, what happened here? Interesting little note that I think Constance clocks, or maybe Sophia, a little bit of text in that necromancy section that the conjurer is bound to the corpse until death. Not important. Will not be important later. Just, put here for our information. Excellent. Jess, what does Cinderella tell us?
She basically didn't love Charming. She was with this person and she was trying to get away, and there was a casted spell on her that she couldn't hurt him when she was trying to kill him, no matter what she tried. She's like, every time I tried something, like, I was under some sort of spell and I could not overcome it, but I was not in love with him.
Yep. She says, he did this to me. He takes, and all I feel is sadness and alone. There's only the light, right? Please help me. I shouldn't be here. Also, hey, I know you. Looking at the fairy godmother, but not being able to make the connection. And that's when Amina's like, okay, bye. Bye
There's
now.
no connection.
See ya. She's like, oh, she's fading. She's fading now. It's like, oh, right now. Right now. Okay. Good. But she also says, hey, Gabrielle, to Constance, Gabrielle, find my journal. I took the journal. You have to find it. It's like, all right. But, dying wish, I guess, sort of. And they're like, so everyone is charged with this. All right, we have to find the journal. So where do we go to do that? We have to go to Cinderella's house. Again, we need a safe place. Amina drops a little note, like the land is changed by all the magic that she worked there. It's like, okay. This is also where Sophia and Constance, like, just a little bit. It's YA, just a little bit.
Yeah. But it's funny because Constance and Sophia have this like instant chemistry. And the whole time you have, again, she's 16. Sophia is like, but I'm still thinking about my ex who doesn't want anything to do with me. I'm always going to love her. And it's killing Constance because she's just trying to be like, trying to get a read on Sophia to be like, I know I like her, but does she like me the way I like her? Like, is she still thinking about her ex? And Sophia's like, yeah, I'm always thinking about my ex. Oh yeah, I'm always going to love her. And like Constance is just like, it's not what I really wanted, but
it's like, but also like, Aaron don't want you. Sophia, Aaron don't want you.
Aaron gives not a single fuck about Sophia. She made her decision. We all know it wasn't a good one.
Yeah, no, not at all. And it's just like, especially, I mean, we'll get there. There's a little bit before we get there. Okay. So we have a little bit more information. The king is so pissed off about this whole thing that he is now demanding that everybody come to a winter solstice cotillion. Not going to lie, without these circumstances, that'd be banging. That would be banging. If that was just like a regular party, how fun. But not here. Not like this. No.
But do they have, no, they don't have these like balls regularly because the cotillion is like luring Sophia back specifically because it was just supposed to be an annual ball because that's how you get like 3 of them.
Yep. But now he's like, now the cotillion has to be mandatory, blah, 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 blah. So it's like, okay. But here's where we start comparing the drawings in the sanctioned version of the Cinderella story and the version that Constance has. And we see that in the illustrations, we see the actual true story of what happened. And we see the light between Charming and Cinderella's mouths. We see that there is something going on there. And that's weird. That's suspicious. What could that be? And it's also talking about like the propaganda of how like the king really took this story and warped it into what he needed to control everybody. And that included demonizing the stepsisters and making them into monsters. So,
well, he had to because, like you said, it's the propaganda because he cannot stand anyone who is a strong, powerful female who is willing to go up against him. If you are not scared of him, you are a threat to him.
Yes. Now, Sophia has to go see Aaron one more time.
I'm so over Aaron.
Constance, I have to go see her. You have to understand. Constance is like, bitch, just go. I don't care. Just go. And Aaron is like, why are you here? You exist to make my life more difficult. Leave.
Honestly, Aaron is like, she's like, why are you being weird? Like, I'm over you. Even though we know she's not. Like, she's over it.
Yeah. And I do want to point out that a kind of a running theme throughout here is like selfishness and how selfishness kind of like manifests itself in all these different situations because Erin is at Sophia and she's like, you're being fucking selfish. Leave me alone. If they catch you here, I'm going to be fucking dead. My family's going to be dead and my husband's going to get all my shit. Like you're just like risking all of this for what? For like your closure? What about my fucking life? And then, you know, earlier in Sophia's like yelling at her parents, calling them selfish. And then, you know, the king is selfish and Amina is selfish. Everybody's selfish. And that is, I think, you know, running throughout the whole course of this book. But, you know, I will be damned if a magic tree could give me a perfect outfit like this. I would love that shit. Amina's like, all right, it's time for the bowl. Round up in front of the tree, everybody. Wha-bam! I love it. I love it. How fun. How fun. How fun. And Amina's like, and I will be your coachman. Ba-ba! And off we go in a black carriage. We love it. We love it. We love it. And also to note, Sophia is dressed the way that she wants to be dressed, which was a huge part of the first ball where she was dressed the way that her mother thought she would be most presentable.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I think like it's just not who she was. That was the thing. She was like, I looked in the mirror. I look stunning, but it's not me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, so we're in the ball. We're at the palace. We're in the ballroom. The king is there. The king looks at all the girls. He's like, all right, if you have already been chosen, GTFO. Everybody else, look at these men. Look at these men. Remember, you're beholden to me. You are ungrateful. Look what I'm doing for you. I'm making sure that you're safe, just like Cinderella wanted. I'm making sure that you're getting all your happy endings. Haha. Very fun. Then the king... He's like, Sophia, let's waltz, bitch. And now we're waltzing. We're waltzing with the enemy.
Which is so crazy because nobody clocked her. Everyone's like, you're familiar. And then the king comes and swoops in and he's like, where do I know you from? And Sophia, without missing a beat, she goes, you know who I am. He's like, you're very brazen to be showing your face around here.
Yeah. And that's when the king is like, all right, I got what I wanted. Everybody out. Everybody out. Everybody out. All right, Sophia, let's walk around the castle. Hey, villain's got a monologue, right?
That's true. Right? Yeah, we need our villain monologue.
Villain's got a monologue. So we're walking around the castle. Sophia notices that when she touches the king, that he is stiff and cold like a corpse, right? Gross. And this is when the king starts monologuing. Cinderella, she loved me until she found out, about my little curse. Like you, Sophia, are going to be an example. I'm going to make an example out of you. So everyone will then listen to me. And Sophia is like, you are a pathetic little man. You are a small, sad, pathetic little man. And then she takes out the dagger and she stabs him in the fucking neck.
And nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
No blood. No black. She's just like, it's what's happening. Yep. If anything, she actually sees, and she sees the times that she's stabbed him healed. Yep. Right before her eyes. It's like, loop. And he's like, ha, 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 as he pulls it out. And he's like, guards, put her in a cell. To note, it's 11 p.m. He's like, I'll see you at midnight. Ha, 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 ha. And then he goes away to do evil villain stuff. Yeah, whoosh, to do evil villain stuff. But Sophia's busy. She's knocking on bricks. She's talking to prisoners. She's making plans, right? She's talking to the people. She's like, I'm back, y'all. Yeah, we'll figure it out. She finds out, but she's in this time. She's also finding out she's finding out Luke is in there. She's finding out the people who had gone missing are in there, and the age ranges are all over the place. As young as 11, and everybody older than that. And there's no it's everyone, girls, gays, and theys. They're all part of in this group of forfeited people. And she's one of them now. Yep. So Sophia, realizing all of this, breaks out, as you do. She's like, I'm coming back for all of you. And she runs away, as you do. And she finds herself in Cinderella's room. And she finds the journal, as you do. And she starts reading. And she's like, he's draining me to punish me. There's a connection into his black heart, but the light
protects his black heart. The spell has been broken and I detest him. I want to kill him. All of this stuff, in Cinderella's own hand, her own words. And Sophia is very moved by this. And she's like, all right, I'm inspired. Let's go. Let's go. But she runs into the king, as you do, because the king's in the throne room. And he starts to drain Sophia. He's monologuing. He's like, I deserved her love. That bitch, I made her queen. Like I was entitled to her love. And Sophia is like, ooh, say less. Say less about all of that, you gross, gross man. And he's like, I'll show you gross. Nasty ass.
And she's feeling everything that she's heard described from other people of what it feels, and not even other people, what Cinderella had written in her journal about having the life sucked out of you and what it feels like to kind of come back to the light, even though your youth has been sucked out.
Constance steps in and saves Sophia from being fully drained by the king. And then, Jess, take us through our big reveal. Who's walking through these doors?
Amina is walking through these doors, and we're like, okay,
yay, all right, here we go.
Yeah, like she's going to show him this is her time of penance. She's on our side. No, she is not. We have King Manfred, mother. Amina is his fucking mother. Been working against him the whole time.
I lied to you, Sophia. I lied to you. No shit. You didn't tell her? Mother. Ha 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 ha. Constance kind of clocked that. Constance was aware of all of this, and she's like, yeah, I recognized the boy in the picture, but I couldn't place him. But the eyes,
Yeah, she was like, there was something that was familiar with him. And then Laura and I were talking about, we forgot to mention, like, in these dancing ballroom scenes, there's different kings on the wall, and they all have the same eyes. So most people would be like, oh, that's like, when you talk about Ash River eyes, or you have familial eyes that like just run in the family. That's who you think initially, but we're also in fantasy, and we also have a fairy godmother / witch. We should have known as the reader first time around. It's again, double down on the plot twist that it's been Prince Charming has aged, but stayed alive through all of these years, but not really alive. He stayed alive through necromancy because he did fucking die. So how do we change the story for society to believe there's this change of hands and the next person in succession is chosen by the king before by hand? Like there is no, and so this has been going on. And what Laura had said with the necromancy, where you could only be killed by the person who establishes the connection, the mother established the connection. So only Amina is able to kill the king.
Yep. Kill Amina.
Kill Prince Charming.
Yep. Kill Amina. Kill Prince Charming. Here's Amina. I brought him back. He was me. And then she goes to him. I told you I would bring them. You almost fucked it up by your little tantrum in my house. All that shit you said hurt me. He said, I'm sorry, mother. And then we have more you owe this to me, mother. You owe all of this to me because I wouldn't be in this situation if your potions had actually worked. You're actually kind of a hack when it comes to this, because Cinderella would have loved me, but your potion wore off. And whose fault is that? Actually, men. But then Amina says, actually though, girls, I didn't necessarily lie to you because I actually don't know how he sustains himself. I've never seen him with my eyeballs. I've never seen him do it. And they're like, oh, shut up.
She was like, because they would say you're going to tell me you didn't know X, Y, and Z with all this shit going on. And she she basically turned a blind eye. So she could not, it's the technicality of it. I didn't personally see, so therefore I could not make an educated guess.
Yeah, ridiculous bullshit that Constance is not dealing with, because there's a little bit of a tussle, a little bit of a lunging going on, and Constance is like, oh, you're gonna lunge towards Sophia, Amina? I'm gonna lunge this dagger right through your fucking neck.
I love Constance.
Yep.
She's that girl.
Yep. Love it. So Constance stabs Amina, right? And there's this pulsing like cloud of light, and everything is happening. Everything is really happening. And so what happens though? We have to run away because everything is happening. We're running away. The king is chasing us. He's dying. He's slurring his words, right? Where our mouths are touching, there's light. That's very scary. We don't like that. We have to empty the cells. Well, that's scary too. Okay. How do we do that? We have to take this pink quartz dagger and we have to stab the king directly in that throat. Right through that fucking throat, because the light was the connection that Amina was doing. And now there is no protection over that. Now it's just this like consuming power, really, this draining power that the king has. And Sophia's like, no, enough of that. Pop, pop, pop. And she does something that I really appreciate and I thought was very akin to Bryce was, oh, he's ashes? Cool, I'm going to burn the fuck out of those. Those aren't coming back. Just like vacuum up those ashes. We're not coming back.
Yeah, and I feel like we always talk, because it's like one of the things that I know we always say, it's like no head, not dead. Like you need to make sure the thing is done. Otherwise.
Properly.
Let's tie up all the loose ends.
Yep, all the loose ends. So we love it. We love it. And because Sophia is just a badass, she ends up burning down the castle. Like, we love that. She also ends up saving a lot of the girls, like almost all of them. Constance gets the rest of them out. Fantastic. We are yelling at the mob outside of the castle as it burns, right? The story is a lie, right? This is the truth. Like, can you imagine just like the optics of that? Just good Lord. You can change now. Like I am a descendant. Like I am a descendant of Gabrielle, and like the men are in a big mob. Like, who's the successor? You're just a girl. And they're like, the king is fucking dead, man. Like, get in line. It is a new order. And we love that. And then kind of like before this last chapter that we have here, Sophia's parents are there and they're crying and they're like, you did this? Oh, my baby girl. And you know what? I would be like,
Thank you. Because that part, again, like she's 16, this is YA, we are adults reading this. But as somebody who's got no contact with both my biological parents, and then she was just like, and all I really wanted was their approval from the beginning. No, they were so quick to get you the fuck out of their house so they can look out for themselves. And now they're like, and okay, granted, the line is like, I don't know if things will ever be, repaired, but like, here's a way to start. Fuck out of here. You left me for dead, quite literally. And you were like, oh my God, we thought you were dead. We're so happy. We're so proud of you. Fuck all the way off. Cause I did it in spite of you, actually.
Yeah. Of your no support, no backing, no nothing, no love, bullshit. Fuck off. Okay.
I'm so glad you said that because I was like, the fuck I think not when I read that.
Absolutely not. All right. Epilogue. True story. 3 women sisters. Their father was meant to be king. They were brave girls, but then Manfred took over. They were about to rise up. Shit went down. Sanctioned story. But now we have new rulers. Okay. We have 6 council members that are like elected and plus Constance, because like gang, we love that. They did everything very quickly. They abolished all of the laws. The rebels were there. The rebels, everybody that doesn't want to be a part of the kingdom, fuck you. Off you go to the Forbidden Lands. We're starting over. If you don't like it, leave. the truth will stand as testament. And we end with like, be a light in the dark. Remember to raise your voice, like fight for what's right. We love. This is a great story.
This is so good. And you know what? I don't want to say like, oh, why isn't anybody talking about this? Because I think a lot of people talked about it at the time of release. But again, what's so great about reading is we have time. We have time. You can read it when you want to read it and when you get to it. So like, yes, it's, and just like, talk about it, praise it. And the reason we get to know about it and talk about it and put it on our TBRs is because people talked about it. So it's like when you get to it, that's just taking the pressure off of. So, and that's just like a general conversation, because I feel like whenever there's a new release, so many people feel like, oh my gosh, I have to read this right away. Otherwise, so I don't get spoiled. So, and then you're reading just to read and not necessarily to enjoy it, because you're just in this rat race against everybody else. So I feel like it's also nice that like we get to amplify this too, and to still appreciate it and the longevity and how applicable it is. I mean, the themes are there.
Just, I have nothing to add. You took everything that I was going to say and you said it so eloquently. It was absolutely perfect. I will add only one thing, and that was just my own little experience. And you already know this, Jessica Marie. Building on what you said, my experience reading a popular new release in a popular series was absolutely fucking ruined by the TikTok edits that came out. Like, I swear to God, like hours after that book came out. I swear to God.
I know which book it is.
Yeah, and it was just like spoiler.
Without the warning. Yeah.
No warnings. Absolutely no warnings.
No etiquette.
And I had gone through and I had put in all my things. Like, I was being I wanted to be safe. And it was just like, bam, 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 bam. This is exactly what happens. And people are like reacting. All emotions are high. And I was just like, well, shit. Okay. And then it was the conversation of, do I read this book then? Do I read this book?
You were reluctant. I remember you were like, I don't even know if I want to read this now.
Yeah. Do I read this book now? Because everybody is reading it. The edits are so fresh. I know everything that happened, and that sucks. And I ended up waiting just a little bit more time for everything to kind of calm down before I picked it up again. And that was the right choice, because I wasn't bombarded with all of these spoilers, and I could kind of go at my own pace. And going to what you said, Jess, there is also something that is really nice about the library. And having, like, you look at a book and you see wait times, you're like, damn, why does everybody want to see this book? I haven't heard about this book, but how many people are in line before me? Like, let me look this shit up. Like, this is amazing. And so going to what you're saying, like reading at your own pace, I think is something that isn't talked about enough and should be celebrated more. And also that reading at your own pace and reading books from the past, I say the past, but like books from the past and reading them now and reading them again, new perspectives, new times, new experiences, and new ages to see what these stories look like through the different lenses and the different times of your life. And that is just another example of exploration and growth. And that is something that we are all about at ACOFAE in this year of 2025, when we are struggling to survive and finding the joy.
So with that being said, feel free to follow us on Instagram. We're at ACOFAE Podcast, and we're both on TikTok, ACOFAE Laura and ACOFAE Jessica. We're also on YouTube. You can find all of our socials in the show notes, and feel free to give us a 5-star rating on wherever you listen to us. We'd be so appreciative. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.